So hi, I'm Mark, this is Mark's Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and today I'm going to be reviewing one of my favourite pieces of software, the EZDrummer 2 software from Toontrack. Now EZDrummer 2 is a piece of software I've been using since it came out, and before that I was using EZDrummer 1, which means I've probably been using this software for over 5 years now. It's also a piece of software that I use for all of the recordings that I make as a musician. But what is EZDrummer 2? Well, essentially EZDrummer 2 is some digital drum software. It can act as a standalone program, or you can use it as a plugin with something like Logic Pro. This is how I tend to use it. You can use it with some of the built-in MIDI loops, or you can create your own. You can even replace the sounds of an electric drum kit plugged into your computer in real time. When you pick up this software, it comes as a digital download and it costs €155 for the full version, or if you're upgrading from EZDrummer 1, it costs €119. It's also worth saying at this point that there are tons of extra sound packs you can buy. I'll talk more about those later on, and over the next few months I'll probably bring you guys a few reviews of some of the packs that I use on a regular basis. Once you've installed the software and you open it up either as a plugin or as a standalone app, what you see is something that looks like a drum kit. You can then move your mouse over it and tap for different parts to sound it off. You can also use a drop down by each part of the kit to adjust it. When you pick up this software, you get two different kits initially. You get a modern kit and a vintage kit. When you select these from the kit menu, you'll see that the actual kits on screen are styled differently. This is just one of those things that makes this software a lot of fun to use. Each kit also has a whole load of presets that you can choose from, and I'll play through some of these drums later on. All of these drums have been professionally recorded in a studio, which means the drums on the EZDrummer sound like real drums. This is one of the things that makes EZDrummer so good, because you can use these drums when recording in a small setting like your house and have drums that sound like you've actually mic'd up a drum kit. This makes it good both for recordings, but also just for messing around and demoing. That main screen on the app where you see the kits also has a song creator bar at the bottom, and this song creator bar stays there as you navigate through the app. In the top bar you have a browser selection which lets you go through a variety of built-in loops, and they allow you to put together a whole song just from pre-recorded parts. This is particularly useful if you're not a drummer, or if you just want to get something down quickly just to play along to when recording. If you're using something like Logic Pro, then you can drag these parts out into your main DAW and use those MIDI parts. This of course means you then have the power to go and edit those individual parts and take out particular drums or add extra things in, just using Logic's MIDI editor. As I've said, this is good for songwriting and just messing around, but it also allows those songwriters who aren't drummers to track drums. For me, as a drummer, it means I can record my electric kit and then go back and tweak some of the sounds later on. The next tab across the top is Search, and this allows you to search through the built-in loops by things like tempo. You can tap that tempo, you can look through the drum library by genre, you can look up type and style and time signature, and there's loads of ways here just to really navigate through all of the loops that are here. What I will say at this point is you can see so many different options on my screen because I bought a lot of the EZDrummer packs. You won't have this many if you just buy the straight off EZDrummer 2 package, but you will have enough to get you going. Finally then, across these top tabs you have the mixer. This lets you adjust the mix of the whole kit by individual section. This includes your kick, your snare top, your snare bottom, your hi-hats, your toms, your overheads, your ambient mic and your percussion. You can mute certain drums, you can pan them a certain way, you can solo them if you just want to listen to that drum to see how it sounds and tweak around with it. There's also a few extra options at the bottom as well. The great thing about this is this lets you get the perfect mix for your drum track. You can also output them to different channels as well. This means if you want to add a weird effect just on the snare through Logic, you could do that just by outputting the snare to a different channel. This basically gives you all of the options you're ever going to want for mixing your drums. So let's skip back to the drum section and let's play through some of the kits. So the modern kit by default sounds a little bit like this. If you want a kit with a bit more echo, you can choose something like Roomy Rock. There's even a distorted kit. if you want to have a bit of fun, then maybe you want to use something like the tape filter kit. The vintage kit by default sounds a little bit like this. And then of course there's some other options for it. So you can also do things like dirty rock with the vintage kit. And then there's also lo-fi tape. There are lots of others as well, but I'm not going to play through all of those. Maybe I'll do a separate playthrough video if that's what you guys want. But the great thing about this drum browser is that you can tweak the individual elements as well. This means if you wanted the hi-hat to sound louder or you wanted to change a pitch, you can adjust that just by clicking the individual instrument. You can even change the sound of that instrument from things from other packs. For example, if you really liked the cymbal from, say, the pop punk pack, you could change that and so that would work with your vintage kit. You can then of course save that so you've got your custom kits ready for future use. Now a few other things worth talking about. First we should talk about Midi mapping. This is found under the menu and settings, and this lets you map the kit depending on what type of electric kit you've plugged in. For example, a Yamaha kit, if you hit the kick drum by default, it sounds off the snare. So you can tweak this to enable it to work for your drum kit. I use a Roland electric kit and this just works by default. It's also in these settings you can set Midi Out, which means you could use your kit in a live setting if you really wanted to. When I've used it in a live setting before, I've simply just run the kit into my laptop via USB and then just done a sound output from my digital sound recorder. I found this works better for me than Midi Out. The main thing to talk about when it comes to using EZDrummer in real time to replace your drum sounds is about latency. This is the gap between you hitting the sound and the sound actually happening. Now I use a 2012 MacBook Pro. I have upgraded it so it's got 16 gigs of RAM and an SSD, and I don't find there's any problem at all. The sound basically happens as soon as I hit the drum. But this is something you're going to want to experiment at home with first before you take it into a live setting. Finally, we should also talk about the expansion packs you can buy. Now expansion packs allow you to add extra drum kits to your EZDrummer 2 setup. And they cost around €75 each, although some are slightly more expensive and some are slightly cheaper. Toontrack also put them on sale every so often, so it's worth keeping a lookout for that, and also shopping around on sites like eBay to see if you can get them cheaper. If you're a student, there are educational licenses, but if you're going to buy an educational license that's slightly cheaper, you do need to make sure you've got proof that you're a student. If you start going through the selection of expansion packs, you'll see that there are tons, and there's everything from country to metal, and my personal current favourite, the pop punk pack. And all these have been produced by people who know what they're doing. So the pop punk pack has been produced by John Feldman, who you might know as the lead singer of Goldfinger, but he's also produced music by bands like Good Charlotte and 5 Seconds of Summer and Blink-182. This means we're talking about expansion packs with really good sounding drums, and they even give you some sample tracks of where these drums have been used. All in all, as I said at the start, EZDrummer 2 is one of my favourite pieces of software, both for recording and practicing, because the drums sound like real drums, and there's so much customization. I also particularly love the range of expansion packs, and I found that I've just picked up one every so often just as I've used this software. If you want to know more about the expansion packs, just comment below which one you'd like me to check out, and I will post some reviews of those in the future. For the price of a bass pack, I also don't think it's too bad. And Toontrack, who make it, regularly have sales on, so keep a lookout for those because you can usually pick it up at a bargain price as well. If you're looking for something with even more features, then maybe check out something like Superior Drummer 3 from Toontrack, although it does retail upwards of €300. I hope you guys have found this video helpful. If you've got any questions, do stick them below and I'll try and answer those. Please give this video a like, consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you guys again soon.